Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel. If you guys haven't been here before, my name is Potato, or you can just call me Tato, as a lot of people in the community do. At least my community, I should say. This video is going to be a little different from the usual Final Fantasy XIV content that exists on this channel. Before we get into it, I just want to say I'm making this video because during my reprog, while streaming obviously, I had a lot of questions asked about my play in particular, mostly from dancers wanting to get into the fight or just people wanting to pick my brain. Why do you use waltz here? Why do you avant there? Why do you samba here? Just questions like that I feel like a lot of people getting into the ultimate for the first time want to kind of know, right? So in this video, I'm going to break down what exactly was going on in my head in T, with a big focus on my decisions around movement and positioning, my defensive cooldowns, and in about one or two instances, things about my GCD by GCD rotation. I don't want to make this a super long video, so I'm going to try not to ramble too much, but I hope to overall answer a lot of questions that were asked on stream, or any questions that potential dancer players wanting to get these weapons will have as well. So, with that said, just a couple disclaimers. First, a lot of the ways that I think about my defensive cooldowns, most of them are influenced by the fact that I was healing in this game for about 7 years since I started way back in Realm Reborn. So a lot of my decisions are kind of derived from that. The second thing is that a lot of the actual mapping of my cooldowns is something that is a joint process between myself and the healers and tanks that I have in this group. So depending on your group and how they want to do the fight, your shield samba placements or improv placements may vary. But these are just hopefully some things that'll give you guys some ideas of where, the ballpark you should be trying to use these skills. But anyways, intro's already too long, man. Thank you guys for coming and checking out the video. I hope you guys learned something, and without further ado, let's go. So standard start here, nothing too crazy. Standard step into tech finish, basic dancer opener. I assume that if you're watching this video, you're in ultimate for a reason. You should have your rotation fine-tuned by now, so I'm not going to go through the process of really going into detail on the rotation. You should already know it and have it in muscle memory. Now, the first thing I want to talk about here is how to really plan out defensive cooldown usage. And so, as you guys see here, if you are the dancer, you're probably going to be baiting one of these Protean waves, and you want to use your second wind here because you're going to take extra damage compared to everyone else in the party. Now, you can be baiting really any of the three, it just depends on your party, but regardless of where you are, you want to use second wind here if you are taking this extra bit of damage. Helps your healers, and it's just free. Now, the second thing I want you guys to look at here is positioning. So, if you don't know, these 4 jagged dolls have to be fed to the bosses. They're going to explode for lots of damage. And because of that, I have to move my character from where I am right now to the center of the arena in order to use my shield samba. Now, the main thing here is that I want you guys to be thinking about where you're standing for a lot of your bigger cooldowns. This applies to shield samba, improv, and to some degree technical finish. You always want to be aware of your position as a dancer in T, or just any fight really, but specifically in T because the arena is a lot larger than some of you may think. So you want to make sure that you're always aware of where you're standing when it's time to use a lot of your bigger cooldowns, because you want to make sure that every single member, all 8, are getting each of your buffs, regardless of what they may be and regardless of whether they're for damage or for the sake of raid-wide mitigation. But the last little tidbit here, it's just 2 more of your defensive cooldowns to think about. First, I use waltz here. I do it because everyone's stacked up, it's free healing, and it just helps alleviate some of that pressure from the healers. The second thing here is that improv is pressed. Now, a lot of people can change where they use improv depending on what they work out with their healers. I personally recommend using improv here if you can, because you guys take a lot of damage to cascade. It gives you that little bit of gauge. It makes sure that all 8 members are stacked together, and I mean, again, it just helps your healers out a bit because depending on how you push this phase, you might have to deal with a lot more mechanics after that, and you want to make sure that people get topped up as fast as possible. But those are the main things I wanted to cover really in phase 1. As you see, here comes the transition. Probably going to speed it up a little bit, but we'll switch on to phase 2. Phase 2 is essentially a big jumble of mechanics, but the main thing I want to cover for you guys here is how to handle Nisi, and one of the tricks I used, which is just pre-positioning yourself when you know who your target is for Nisi. So as you see in the slow-mo that's rolling, I know that my target is my Gunbreaker, and I know that my summoner's target is the Paladin, who's on the left, top left of your screen right now. What you want to do as a dancer, because you have the luxury to, is you want to pre-position yourself towards whoever you need to pass Nisi to, or grab Nisi from. Because doing so makes it so that not only do you have an easier chance to get your Nisi, but you also free up another section of the map that normally wouldn't have been free for the rest of your party to move around and do their own Nisi passes. So this is just the one thing I wanted to quickly go for you guys and answer. The second thing is that if you guys noticed, I used Samba as I was passing Nisi. Samba here is kind of like a universal Samba. I feel like most dancers I've watched when I was trying to learn this fight, and a lot of other dancers I've spoken to, all use Samba at this location. Mainly because you don't have many other places to use it here, and so it's really quick and easy to handle. Now, what I will say is that if you don't push the bosses right here where we're pushing our bosses, Cruise Chaser is going to do a set of double whirlwinds here. So depending on your party's DPS, you could completely take the Samba from where I have it, where the third Nisi passes with the whirlwinds where everyone's clumped in the center, and you can move it to here for these double whirlwinds. But that's completely up to your discretion, and it's also going to be based on how fast your party pushes. But that's really all I wanted to cover for phase 2. Let's get into phase 3. And here we are, Inception phase. Now if you made it this far, there's one thing that I have to answer that was asked multiple times during my stream, which is why do I bait this flamethrower? Honestly, it's nothing too complex, it's just I was the more experienced player than my tank in the fight, which is why I opted to do it. But usually you'll have your tanks both take these flamethrowers, which is perfectly fine. The next thing I want to talk about is that this is a pretty free place to use curing walls here. Everyone takes this flamethrower damage. You can just kind of help heal everyone, but you don't really need to. I personally do it, but you don't have to. The third thing, and I don't see dancers doing this enough, hit True Heart. You have free chances to get Fan Dance 3 procs here. Even though you're doing 0 damage, you are still doing GCDs to the heart. From the moment I on Avant to bait this flamethrower, I am hitting the True Heart the entire time. You can see my GCDs. And from doing that, you have the option to gain Fan Dance 3s, which means your next tech finish window, which comes at the end of Inception, will have more Fan Dance 3 procs, which gives you the option to do more damage. I see too many dancers not utilizing this. Please hit the True Heart. If you want to use as much damage that you can put out for your reopener, hit the True Heart. This is going to be the last little snippet for phase 3, but the last thing I want to talk about is that walk to the center. So because you're a dancer and you have en avant, you have the fastest path to the center before the stack damage that happens immediately before the enumerations. Using this knowledge, I en avant to the middle and prep a curing waltz because I know that my healers are going to be trying to top the party and they're also going to be moving at the same time. Again, this is a smaller thing, but keep saying it, you gotta use those free resources to help out your party where you can. I personally come from a background of healing, so maybe it's not as abstract of a thought to me, but this is definitely something that you could be doing in your own party to help your group out when it comes to this specific phase. And as you continue to look forward, you're going to notice that my waltz is actually pretty close to coming back, which means I get to use it again during J-Waves, which proves that the one I just used for the sack damage is completely free. please, I cannot keep stressing this enough, guys. You have to, DPSing is not just doing your damage. A very good DPS will try to do their damage, remain consistent with mechanics, and if they have any utility that they could be using to make the encounter smoother, they are going to be using it. And for a dancer, it is super crucial that you use your utility because you have so much of it. You have so much utility that if you don't use it, you are actually being a detriment to your party. You can be a 99 percentile DPS. If you are not using the raid utility that you have in your kit, you are not helping your party. You are only harming them. You can still clear your content. It will not be, you will not get the same admiration or respect, I should say, if you just let your free resources stay on cooldown for the entirety of the fight. With that said, transitioning into phase 4, get to watch our cool little transitions here, and then we'll get into the last few topics I want to touch on that are going to be in Perfect Alexander. But for now, enjoy this transition, enjoy the music change, and I will see you there. Now that they've all transformed, we enter phase 4. So first things first, you do your pot, you do your reopener. Now there's one thing I want to touch on right about now. Right there. I touched upon this earlier when I said T is a lot larger of an arena than you guys think. Look closely, what's missing? Truth, our Gunbreaker, does not get technical finish, which means 7 of the 8 people get the technical finish buff in their reopeners under their pots, and he doesn't. I cannot stress this enough, guys. You do not want to make the mistake that I made here. Thankfully, we still get a clear out of this poll, but this is such a silly mistake to make. Super silly mistake. And this is something that I really want you guys to avoid. Keep in mind, I'm only at the rear of Perfect Alex's hitbox. Truth is at the front. We are not entire map with length apart. We are literally just the distance of Perfect Alexander's hitbox apart, and this still misses him. Please make sure you guys are paying attention to where you're positioned. Don't pull at me. Now when we get to this section, I only really want to touch on 2 things. Again, this goes back to making sure of your position for buffs. I pop Shield Samba in the center of the map. Again, you want to make sure that everything hits all 8 members. For the most part, I see a lot of dancers do this part, so I don't think I need to do a whole discussion about it. But this one thing here, this Curing Waltz, I don't see a lot of dancers doing this. Again, you have free resources, you can help your healers. Just press Curing Waltz here, man. It's really nice. It makes it so that it's just a little bit safer. Even if it's overheal, it's still better to have overheal than to be underhealed. So, and it's especially helpful for in case you guys mess up and it's like a stack of 5 and 3, you at least will help try to top off everybody so that just in case some mishap happens, you can still continue your pull, and it can still be a prog pull if it's for the sake of prog, or if you're going for that clear, still be the potential push for clear. And there's one last thing I want to cover before I forget, and it's the last thing I want to basically talk about in phase 4, and this is dance partner. And I got asked this question maybe like 6 or 7 times on stream during my reprog, and I had a dancer, basically the TLDR of the question is, why did I swap my dance partner in phase 4 from my summoner to my ninja, which in the footage as you see here has already happened, but I actually did it immediately after the first opener. The reason I do this is because my ninja has higher, well, Ninja has higher potential single target damage on one target than the Summoner will, and they also have higher burst in the 1 minute window than Summoner would. So this is a much smaller thing for our group because our damage was good, and we honestly wouldn't have had such a tough time meeting this check if, you know, we didn't have a death, people were more comfortable, and if I didn't make so many stupid mistakes personally. Like later on I used my 2 minutes, but that's besides the point. The reason, again, is because it is more total damage and is overall better for the group if I switch my dance partner to my ninja during this phase. If you have a monk, you would want to do it for a monk. If you have a samurai in your party, you would want to do it for your samurai. Essentially, you just want whoever can do the highest potential damage on a single target in this phase. You want that person to have dance partner, because while the check to some people is easy, depending on your group, that could make or break the 1 or 2% you might need to push for your clear. So that is the last thing I wanted to cover on because it was the last thing that was asked of me, and I'm pretty much just gonna leave the footage rolling while I say some last little pieces. So firstly, that covers, I think, about everything I had that I was going to talk about today. And I hope that this video answered a lot of the stream questions I received, and I hope that it gave a lot of you dancers some good insight for maybe your first time in T, maybe your third time in T, or maybe you're going for some reclears and just want to think about some things that you could be doing differently. Hopefully this helps you in some way or another. The main takeaways I want you guys to keep with you for any dancers watching this. 1, I want you to keep in mind a lot of your cooldowns may vary about your healers and tanks and how they want to plan things out, but you do want to be critically thinking about where you could be using your samba, your improv, your waltz. You don't want to just go through 17 minutes of content and just not be using them as much as you could be. You want to be making use of these free resources, especially to help out your party. Your party will greatly appreciate it and your healers will definitely be happy about it. So you want to make sure that you are using all your free resources that you may have. Second thing that I wanted to leave you guys with is that this is my first time making a more informative video, so I'm sure there's a lot of things I could have done better, and I'll try to get better at it if I release more of these, depending on if you guys like it. But as I said, I will just let the video play out. If you did like the video, or if it helped you, or you know someone that it could help, please like the video or share it with anyone that you think it can help. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, we will gladly answer any of them. You can either put them in the comment section below, or if you do follow me on Twitch, you can ask me during a live stream. Like I said, I will be happy to answer. But with that said, hopefully this video does help some of you, maybe all of you, I don't know, but I just hope that this video is useful to anybody pushing for their T clear. And hopefully, with these tips, albeit how small they are, hopefully you guys can reach this point of the fight actually, and get your own clear, you know? Fun fact, by the way, I'm gonna leave the nerd screams in there, so headphone warning.
Kill it.
Oh my god, please kill this fucking...
Tell me that's dead! Kill it! Get me out of here, dog. Get me out!
Please, come on, stuff.
I think we got it.
No way.
Kill it, kill it!
No, they dog.
Point 1? No fucking way.
Yes!
Oh,
Get me the fuck out! Get me out of this